Am I kicking this off, Iman, or are you kicking this off?
You are.
All right, I can handle that. Good morning. I'd like to now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Empire State Newmarket Corporation for December 20th, 2022. I'd like to know for the record that this meeting is being webcast and I will be acting chair for today's meeting. I'd also like to note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda by submitting their written comments by 4:30 p.m. Friday, and say for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of today's meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda. If so, I would ask that you please make an appropriate disclosure at this time, and we will be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote with regard to such items. All right, hearing none. The first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the March 17th, 2022 directors meeting. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Paul? All right, do I got a second? All right,
I'll
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. I'd like to now call upon John Evan Hornsby to present the next item on today's agenda, which is a request for authorization to execute an allocation agreement with the CDFI fund and to form additional subsidiary CDEs. John Evan.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, all. This is a request for authorization for Empire State Newmarket Corporation to execute a calendar year 2021 allocation agreement with the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund.
Hey, sorry, John Evan, the audio's not really hearable.
Oh, it's spotty. Can you hear me better now? Is this okay?
I can
No,
hear
same.
you, but it's not good.
It's not great.
All right.
Same here, Cuff.
Yeah, look, if it's being webcast fine, then I'm good.
Okay. Still the same now?
Go ahead. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this is a request for authorization for Empire State Newmarket Corporation. I'll try and speak a little louder. To execute a calendar year 2021 allocation agreement with the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund and to form up to 10 additional subsidiary community development entities for which ESNMC will serve as managing member, and to take related actions, including applying for CDE certification by the CDFI fund and amending and executing ESNMC's calendar year 2021 allocation agreement with the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund to include the newly created subsidiary CDEs. In October 2022, ESNMC was awarded a calendar year 2021 allocation of Newmarket tax credits in the amount of $45 million. With its $45 million allocation, ESNMC intends to enter into the allocation agreement with the CDFI fund and to close several NMTC transactions. Each transaction will be closed into a limited liability company, which must be certified as a CDE in order to allow for the admission of the investor that will be able to benefit from the Newmarket tax credits. Each transaction is likely to consist of a different investor and a unique borrower. A limited liability company that is a subsidiary CDE must therefore be formed for each transaction. CDE certification is conducted by the CDFI fund in a process that takes several months. Staff recommends that ESNMC execute the allocation agreement, form the subsidiary CDEs, and begin the CDE certification process in order to have available subsidiary CDEs into which transactions may be closed in 2023. The requested authorization constitutes a Type 2 action as defined by the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and implementing regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. No further environmental review is required in connection with the authorization. The board members are requested to authorize ESNMC to execute the allocation agreement and any and all organizational and other documents necessary to form each subsidiary CDE to comply with the NMTC program. and to authorize execution of any and all documents, including the execution of any amendment to the allocation agreement. The articles of organization and the operating agreement of the new subsidiary CDEs will be substantially similar to the documents utilized for the 15 previous subsidiary CDEs formed to implement ESNMC's prior allocations. Thank you.
Thanks, John Evan. Are there any questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? John Evan, just at a very high level, what are the key differences with this application as compared to the previous application?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question, Kevin. So with this this application that we submitted to the CDFI fund in 2021, we actually applied for an allocation that would kind of create investments for smaller transactions. So those are transactions of $4 million or less. In our previous award that we had received in 2015, 2016, we actually included a similar priority, and we were successful. In that round, it was for transactions of up to $2 million or less. So they've changed the guidance to be up to $4 million, which is a little bit better. Makes it a little less challenging to close those transactions, which are historically very, very challenging to do. But in our 2020 application, we did not include that priority. So that shift, I think, was one of the major differences that allowed us to get over the hurdle this round. In addition, we've upped our rural percentage a little bit. We are designating 40% of our allocation to rural communities. So that's also a priority of the CDFI fund, and one that we felt like was also key to our winning application this round.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the directors? As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Our one-man show continues. John Evan will now present the next agenda item, a request for approval of the new market tax credit deployment and investment selection process. John Evan.
Thank you again, Kevin. This is a request for approval of the NMTC deployment and investment selection process for ESNMC's 2021 New Markets Tax Credit Award. In October 2022, Empire State New Market Corporation received a $45 million NMTC allocation award from the calendar year 2021 NMTC application round. ESNMC indicated the types of projects that it would invest in and provided an initial priority pipeline as part of the NMTC application to the CDFI fund. ESNMC is required to be generally consistent with its application and will have certain specific minimum investment requirements in rural communities, to operating businesses, for small investments, and for other restrictions as part of the NMTC allocation agreement with the CDFI fund. A summary of ESNMC's NMTC application, goals that were stated in the application, and the requirements agreed to with the CDFI fund is included in the board materials. ESNMC is proceeding to quickly review initial potential pipeline and expects to bring for approval 2 to 3 initial transactions for closing in the first quarter of 2023. Quick deployment during the first quarter of 2023 is essential for demonstrating to the CDFI fund that ESNMC can deploy and manage an award efficiently. In addition, the CDFI fund requires community development entities to deploy at least 20% of the current round award, which is $9 million for ESNMC, in order to be eligible to apply for an award in the next NMTC application round. ESNMC is currently screening potential projects for alignment with the strategies described in its NMTC application. ESNMC is working with ESD originators and regional directors throughout the state to identify potential investments that meet this strategy and advance ESD and New York State priorities. ESNMC, has also reached out to other sources of potential investments, such as NMTC investors, lenders, consultants, and prior NMTC borrowers. The NMTC deployment and investment selection process is included in the board materials. This requested authorization constitutes a Type 2 action as defined by the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and the implementing regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. No further environmental review is required in connection with the authorization. The board members are requested to authorize the NMTC deployment and investment selection process described in the board materials. Thank you.
Thank you, Donovan. Any questions or comments from the directors? All right, as noted, again, we do not have any comments from the public, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Kevin.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. John Evan will now present the final item on today's agenda, which requests, among other things, authorization to adopt the proposed general project plan for the Healthy Living Campus project. John Evan.
Thank you again, Kevin. This is a request for authorization to adopt the proposed general project plan, suballocate New Market's tax credits to an Empire State New Market Corporation subsidiary, close the NMTC transaction, make a determination of no significant effect on the environment, and take all related actions. Empire State New Market Corporation requests approval to allocate up to $9 million in federal New Markets tax credits for the purpose of enabling the subsidiary CDE to make loans to GLOW, Young Men's Christian Association, Inc. And I will note that GLOW stands for Genesee, Livingston, Orleans, and Wyoming counties, to finance the construction of the Healthy Living Campus in Batavia, New York, and to delegate authority to the president of ESNMC or his designee to take any and all actions with respect to such allocation of NMTCs, the final terms of the transaction documents, and closing the transaction. The current YMCA facility opened in 1977. The YMCA is a cause-driven organization that focuses on youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility by giving back and providing support to its neighbors. The current facility offers youth sports programs, including Taekwondo, youth indoor soccer, club soccer, gymnastics, swim lessons, and swim team. Also offered are wellness programs, which include nutritional counseling, personal training, water wellness classes, and group fitness classes. The $27.5 million project consists of the construction of the Healthy Living Campus to increase GLOW YMCA's wellness and healthcare services in Batavia, a highly distressed community, as well as a non-metro community. The 78.5 thousand square foot project will be a newly constructed building next door to the YMCA's existing building, which will be demolished. The project will include approximately 58.5 thousand square feet for the YMCA and 20,000 square feet for the United Memorial Medical Center's primary care facility. The investment will finance the core and shell of the entire building and the interior fit out for the YMCA space. UMMC will pay for tenant improvements to its own space using separate financing. The project has commenced, anticipating the final financial closing to occur in early 2023. Construction is expected to be completed in the spring of 2024. Expected deal participants include U.S. Bank as the NMTC investor, construction and permanent loans from Five Star Bank and Coastal Enterprises, a bridge loan from Blue Hub Capital, separate NMTC allocation from Enterprise, and sponsor equity from capital campaign proceeds. The proposed financing is recommended for multiple reasons. The investment is generally consistent with the ESNMC strategy proposed to the CDFI fund. The financing fits well with the strategy in that the project will help to revitalize a highly distressed downtown community, will provide critical health and wellness services to a low-income community, is catalytic to the redevelopment of Batavia's downtown area, and is located in a non-metro community. The project community outcomes are also compelling and are consistent with ESNMC's NMTC application and community outcome objectives. In addition to meeting the requirements of ESNMC's business strategy, the project allows ESNMC to deploy 20% of its NMTC application, the minimum threshold ESNMC needs to deploy by May 2023 to be eligible for another NMTC award in the 2022 round. The project was recommended by the ESNMC Project Review Committee on December 13th and presented to and approved by the ESNMC Advisory Board on December 19th. The City of Batavia Planning and Development Committee, as lead agency, has completed an environmental review of the project pursuant to the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and the implementing regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. The review found the project to be an unlisted action, which would not have a significant effect on the environment. The lead agency issued a negative declaration on September 22nd, 2021. ESD staff, on behalf of ESNMC, reviewed the negative declaration and supporting materials and concurs. It is recommended that directors make a determination of no significant effect on the environment. The directors are requested to authorize the adoption of the proposed general project plan and make a sub-allocation of up to $9 million from the allocation for the purposes set forth in the GPP. The directors are also being asked to delegate to one or more authorized officers of ESNMC, acting in its own capacity or as managing member of the subsidiary CDE, the authority to determine the terms of the NMTC transaction documents and to execute such NMTC transaction documents on behalf of ESNMC and the subsidiary CDE in connection with the closing of the NMTC transaction, and to make a determination of no significant effect on the environment. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jonathan. Sounds like a cool project. Any questions or comments from the directors?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I believe in the sources and uses, there's a Restore Award and a DRI Award. How is that reflected in the sources and uses?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, Edwin. So the Restore Award and the DRI are going to be used as leverage into the NMTC structure. So they're going to flow through the new market tax credit structure in order to entice or incentivize the equity investment. So the equity investment will be pooled with the leverage funds and put into an investment fund that ultimately makes the qualified equity investment into our subsidiary CDE. So in short, I guess it's to create the allocation that to incentivize the allocation for the project. So in the sources and uses, it's actually seen as Empire State New Market Corporation's Corlickies, which is Qualified Low Income Community Investments, and Enterprises Corlickies. So that's how it flows through the structure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Odd question, but is GLOW an acronym?
It is, yes. Yeah, so that acronym stands for Genesee, Livingston, Orleans, and Wyoming counties.
Gotcha.
Great question.
And when well, it wasn't that great a question, but when do they, I mean, this is still got to go to the ESD board in January. When do they anticipate the project actually starting?
Yeah, so the financial closing we anticipate to be in February or March of 2023. So the project has commenced and it's supposed to close in 2024. Or I should say that it should be completed in 2024.
Okay, so it's in construction now, and we're just trying to get to the final closing on the finances.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. There. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from the directors? All right. As noted, again, we do not have any comments from the public, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Hey, any opposed? All right. Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you, everyone, particularly John Evan here, who presented every item. Thanks for your participation in today's meetings. Have a great holiday, Being no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I would now call for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Just one quick comment, Kevin, if I may.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of work goes into applying for an application and obviously deploying the application. The allocation, once we receive it, there's a lot of background work that goes into that. So I just want to recognize all the staff at ESD that actually helps us with applying and deploying an allocation. I think there's a lot of people who kind of go unnoticed or unrecognized, but there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into running this program and keeping it afloat. There's some people around the table actually in this room, Marcio David, Sankar Singh, Gene, who actually help us a lot on deploying this. Obviously, Yvonne Cooper and Debbie Royce have been instrumental. We have some people who are also new to ESNMC, Olympia Moy, who's helping out, Alex, Tim, his name is escaping me right now. Tim Anderson, excuse me. Actually, I work intimately with Tim, so I should not make that mistake. But yeah, there's just a lot of people who help out with doing this, and I don't think they get the recognition that they deserve. So thank you all. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll continue to receive allocations and continue to put the allocations to good work.
All right. Well, let's echo Donovan's thank you to everybody who's helping out getting all this work done. So thanks all, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Take care.
Actually, into my Christmas bonus.
That's what I was hoping. We'll see what happens.
Government, you get thank yous today.
Thanks, Kevin.
Take care,
Thank you.
everyone.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Take care.